is 7 o'clock. Let's rise to pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got invocation, Councilman Hendricks, will you do us the pleasure?
Up or down?
Oh Lord, we thank you for this beautiful, wonderful day that you provided for all of us. Oh Lord, please help us to appreciate and to take care of everything that you have given us. Oh Lord, please help us in our decisions tonight. Be ever mindful of you and what we should do. Oh Lord, please take care of us and watch us and look after us. We pray in your name, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Okay, this is the Demorest City Council regular session for Thursday, July the 6th. We're going to start off with appearance and public comments. This morning?
Yes.
Huh? Oh, we got to approve the agenda first. Sorry. I don't do this every time. I know we have to remove item 12 there. We have to add, we're going to Georgia EPD, so we'll replace item 12 with Georgia EPD.
Council, all this is in your front page of your pocket there.
And remove number 5.
And remove number 5. So everything below 5 jumps up 1. Is there any other changes that you guys see? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second? Second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, now moving to appearance and public comments. Ms. Smith.
Yes. I'm Gail Moore. I'm a lifelong resident of Demorest. I was born in 1941. I'm the proud age of 81, be 82 in August, if I live that long.
Would not
Good
have
for you.
guessed that. With your age, would not have guessed that.
Your check's in the mail.
You be kind to me, okay? I'm afraid you.
Several things I want to discuss. Number one, Mr. Musselwhite, I mentioned to you this morning as you were leaving for a meeting, my concern about the parking situation at the new city hall, with a square instead of parallel parking. And I pointed out that if there was a van in that space and another handicapped car was in the other space, when it backs out, there's not enough turning radius to keep from hitting each other.
Yes, ma'am.
So you indicated you would have some.
We'd look into it, yes, ma'am.
Yes, I hope you will
Yes,
before
ma'am.
there's an accident. The primary reason I'm here is to discuss the danger situation on Florida Street and Oak Avenue. Florida Street being the street that runs beside the Exxon store, kind of across from where Blue Willow was. Oak Avenue being at the top of that hill.
Where it kind of comes in together.
Yeah, Oak Avenue comes into Florida Street at the top of that hill. Well, at the top of that hill, you can't see a car coming from, if you're turning left from Florida Street onto Oak Avenue. I go that way frequently because my aunt lives just down her up to take her to the grocery store or to get her hair done or whatever, cause she's 93 years old, she's a little older than me. Anyway, and she doesn't drive. Fortunately, I still drive. But anyway, that is a very, very hazardous situation. I have been almost hit several times. My cousin coming from there just this week. There is a stop sign on Oak Avenue at Florida. He stopped to turn right to go to work, and he was almost smashed by a car flying over that hill in the driver's side. He said had it hit him, he felt like he would have been killed.
So you're talking about they're coming down Oak Avenue straight to get on, Central Avenue without stopping?
No, they're coming down Florida Street. Yeah,
We'll get with the,
I pointed it out to the policeman,
okay,
so he knows where it
and then we'll
is.
get with Brian Paul with our public works on that tomorrow.
Yeah,
to look at-
but-
But he's off tomorrow, it'll be Monday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
anyway, I am asking that be made a three-way stop. And I think that is certainly advisable for the city's benefit. Because if somebody does get killed there, the city, I feel like, since you have been warned that is a danger, you're gonna be liable for suit, in my opinion.
I mean, I think it's been a couple months ago, we had somebody come in and talk about the speed of the driver that was coming down Oak Avenue, right?
So,
So, is the, speed sign still out there, or Casey,
The speed trailer's not out there
not
anymore.
out there anymore?
I'm gonna sit there.
The problem with the speed on that road is it has to be permitted for us to run speed on it.
Mhm.
It's not long enough for the state to make a permit on that. I know y'all don't like to hear this, but one option is maybe put a speed table right there at it.
So there are a couple options that have been discussed tonight, speed table, and to have, three-way stop there. Mark just said that he was gonna get with, Public Works and try to see if there, is any kind of solution that we can kind of do with that intersection there, because we have, this is not the first time we've heard a complaint about that area.
It's the hill, coming in front of Gwen Honeycutt's house,
Mhm.
that hill. As long as you put a speed bump high enough, so if they fly over it, it'll knock the axle out from under them.
Are you talking about like your mines from Delta Springs? That little, yeah.
they've got those, and then like on Holly, it's got the actual asphalt made, pumped up more like that.
Okay.
The one on Double Springs makes you stop.
Yeah.
Definitely
Almost.
does make you stop. Every day of my life.
So, take out your transmission speed table. Did you have, anything else?
Well, I was concerned about the, post office, where it was gonna be located inside the new, building.
I don't think there's been any determination about the post office relocation yet. There's been no discussion, well, there's been no decisions made in regards to that, so.
Okay, it's just now gotten user-friendly to people with disabilities and to the elderly. And as I mentioned to you, the 2020 census, 21% of our city, now that's not the college kids, that's the residents of our city are over 65. So we are a city of, elderly.
You can go ahead and say it.
And we're getting older every day.
Just don't say it next month.
Okay,
Yes, that, yes. So that is kind of a downtown development authority, issue in regards to that. It's not something that council decides, but, I mean, you're welcome if we get a DDA meeting, rescheduled this month, you're welcome if you wanna come and, express any opinion to the downtown development authority about your feelings about what you think, for the post office location.
And what he's saying this more is the Downtown Development Authority, also called the DDA, owns the building and the old city hall and where city hall is located at now. The city itself, proper city, does not own it. And so the DDA committee members make the decision of the lease, different terms, us leasing the old city hall. That does not come before these gentlemen here.
okay.
So that's where we've had discussions with the post office, with the postmaster Lynch here also about all these options of the process with the post office. Their lease is effective, their 30-year current lease is up July 1st, 2024.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked him about that. Well, maybe he or somebody could let me know when the DD. 'cause
I
will-
can do that. I can notify you when it's scheduled.
Okay,
All right.
Because,
You're welcome.
because the postmaster doesn't have anything to do with this decision or anything like that. It is strictly our downtown authority.
okay. When do you discuss the noise ordinance?
I think we moved that, that's down on now number 12.
Okay,
So we'll get to,
I'll wait.
we'll get to that. Okay, anybody else here for appearance and public comment? Okay. We had removed the consideration for amendment of the 2022 budget. We are going to have to revisit that, but it will be at the next council meeting that we schedule, which is probably gonna be a special call meeting on.
July 13th and July 20th, those are next Thursday and the following Thursday. And if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, explain.
this is a requirement through our end of the year audit that they've been working on since January, and it is due by June the 30th. But by the findings and by the timing it comes up, because it has to be advertised, and then the next meeting has to be 7 days after that. We actually requested through our audit team and our CPAs an extension by the state, and they have granted us that because we have to have this approved so it can be totally included in the budget. This zeroes everything out for the year on 2022. It's a normal course of business. And what you can do, if it's something up to council going forward, is we could do a quarterly amend the budget. We could do it every 6 months, or we could do it 6 months after year end, which we're trying to do now.
It was one of the findings from last year that our auditor recommended us having, amending the budget more than just one time per year. So, since it was part of a previous finding, I think that we really need to be doing that.
And we'll make that change going forward. We'll work with our CPA to start getting that pulled together for August for the current year of.
So that's an administrative change.
Yes, that we can do that. We can do it once a month if we wanted to.
Right.
I don't like waiting so long because I'm like, where are we? Is there something happening right here with some, just knowing where exactly we are in the budget process at all times.
Exactly. It's more transparent for us to know our financial position.
Is
If
it-
we update the budget more often than just one time per year.
And really what that's about, amending the budget, is we may have had a one-time cost to purchase something, and it gets the budget out of whack. because we have to come show, well, if we just expensed $25,000, where did the revenue come that wasn't included in the original budget? So we bring $25,000 to equal it out, so it zeroes itself out on the year-to-date numbers.
And we purchased a lot of vehicles that year that it was including part of finding, so that was a lot of big ticket items.
And when it is finished, they will come and present to mayor and council the audit, their findings and so forth. So we've done extremely a lot of work to get to this point, because there was some new FASB accounting rules that came into effect in 22 into 23 that's required a lot more detailed information, way more than what they've done the first two times with Bates and Carter. So
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes from June the 6th and June the 13th. Council, do you need a few minutes to review that, folks? Yes? Okay. Take a few minutes to review the previous minutes. Tab.
Kind of chuckling, Mr. Muswell, you've been very busy.
yeah, that was a lot of money that night. I'll give an update on my city manager's
As I
report.
see this, it's Mr. Muswell, Mr. Muswell, Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Muswell, Mr. Muswell. That's good. Unless somebody sees something outstanding, I would like to make a motion that we accept these as written.
Both minutes.
But
Second. Okay. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consideration of the serve line proposal. Take it away, Mark.
The serve line is our leak protection for our 7,000 water customers. And this is a leak protection update that I asked for, because currently, if you have a residential meter, which is the account is in a business name, an LLC, a trust, IRA, anything like that, previous you did not have coverage. The change is now, it doesn't matter what the name is, as long as you have the residential meter. And the price is staying the same with $1.15 per month for up to $2,500 worth of coverage. Like at Christmas, we had all the water leaks and things of that sort. So it was a lot of help. There's not many cities that I'm aware of that offer such a deal for $1.15 a month. The other change to this is we do not have the insurance coverage for our commercial rate owners. So if you have a commercial building with just one tenant in the building, that rate is gonna cost more, because it's $8.50 per month. If you have a commercial rate with multiple tenants, it's $17 per month for that same coverage limit up to $2,500. It's an unbelievable deal that they offer. And, when you get your water bill and you see you've had a spike, you call the city. The first thing we're gonna ask you is, do you have the coverage? And they're gonna say yes or no. We'll verify. Well, you fixed the leak? Yes. Okay. Here's the number. Very easy to call, explain that you fixed it. They'll get the readings from us. They'll look at the past bills. And it can take them a couple of weeks to process the check. And they pay it directly to your account. All they ask is you keep your bill current on everything else outside of that dollar amount we're talking about. So it's a very easy process. So with that, any questions? But it's an improvement, and it gives a lot more coverage because, again, residential, not in the person's name, they didn't have coverage before. But this, if approved, will give everybody the opportunity for the coverage.
So it's much more inclusive.
Yes.
No, further questions from council? Can I get a motion to, approve, this, proposal from Surfline?
Make a motion to approve the proposal as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the discussion of diversity recruitment and DEIB certification. Dr. Hendricks, you gave a great explanation in the work session. Wanna try again?
We'll have a go with that.
All right.
The DEIB certification is the newest program from the GMA, and it started in 2020, and they've been working on it for the last 3 years. And it's just released in February. And some of the requirements, it's a process that we go through to, again, be acknowledged by the GMA that we are a city that is certified to be inclusive and at the same time providing an environment where everybody can be themselves and perform to the best of their abilities. There are certain requirements, and the first pre-application requirement is that we as a group commit to this as a goal. So the council has to make the resolution that we want to do this. And one of the requirements is that the majority of the council has to have training. And we've agreed to do that. It's my understanding in the work session that we will do that and start the process so that we as a city can add this to what we've already achieved as a city of ethics and a city of civility.
Good training of majority of the governance, don't leave.
Right. The government.
You don't get out from not having training.
I'm going to a class.
Yes.
Y'all will just be a webinar type training. I can send you to Augusta, Macon, or I think it's Valdosta.
Lovely.
Thomasville.
Thomasville, not Valdosta.
So basically, different criteria and levels. So there's bronze up to platinum, and it requires that we have a certain designation of 7 different categories that we discussed in the work session. But at this time, we basically want to make a commitment that we as a city want to move forward and gather the information, and then as we receive more information, make the determination which category we fit best in to start with.
I think, Councilman Bennett, you had some good suggestions from the work session where we're already kind of working toward some of the, at least some of the, categories that are listed.
The health and well-being and the community and economic development, I feel like are slam dunks. We're working on those right now, every day.
And as far as the park, and trying to, get possibly inclusive playground equipment, could be, you know,
Walking trails.
walking trails, equipment for the older folks to, exercise. So, any other comments? Any questions, comments from council? Who's volunteering to go to training?
It's the webinar.
The webinar first.
It's right here.
Our commitment that we would have to this is, what's the cost? $199, and, we would have to have at least 2 meetings open to the public to discuss progress, or suggestions, toward whatever categories that we choose to work toward on this. Council, any comments, other comments?
I think it just shows the dedication to these things. I mean, it's something we're already doing, but it's something that we're saying, this is what we're doing. And that's important, I think.
So in the resolution itself, does it, we have to choose which level we're going to be working toward on this?
As I look at this stuff, I think it's premature to adopt this resolution
Okay.
tonight. I think you all, I think you need to have at least a work session, you gotta identify some of these, because in this initial resolution, you've got to include that kind of initial step that you took, that initial meeting, and why, and then some data as to why you're doing the 2 or 3 categories that you're doing. So, I think tonight's just an expression of commitment to do it, and then I think that.
We pick it up at next full council meeting, after everybody's had kind of time to absorb and read into this, and maybe come up with other suggestions.
But I will suggest that July 17th is the first webinar meeting. We also choose.
So everybody sign up for the webinar, learn a little bit more about this program.
If you'll get with
We'll
me,
come
I can
back.
sign you up.
Huh?
If you can notify me, I'll sign everybody up that wants to be signed up.
We can come back in August and we can,
You all also may wanna discuss who's gonna identify stakeholders, or whether you all are gonna provide suggestions to Mr. Musselwhite, how you wanna go about doing that, so that we don't slide a couple months and nothing has been done. So I don't know how you all wanna go about that, but give that some thought and maybe make some suggestions so that people can be contacted and asked to participate.
very well.
Can you make sure that's on the front burner?
Yes, sir.
We will add that to the, August meeting. All right, going to the next item on the agenda, consideration of DDA signers. And I do believe at the work session, we have discussed about having, our new DDA, chairman, Rebecca Godwin, to be the, signer for the checks. Any other comments about that? Council, do you have a, motion to have, Rebecca Godwin be a signer for the Downtown Development Authority,
I feel like it's
account?
appropriate for me to make the motion to make Rebecca a signer for that.
Do we have to, is Donnie a signer for that? Do we need to remove him as something? No, he's
Mark
not.
is the only person currently.
Alright,
Morris.
okay. We don't have to remove him?
I removed him.
Okay. Alright.
I
So,
just
we have a
can't
motion.
add them unless I have y'all's approval.
Okay, so we have a motion, for Rebecca Godwin, DDA, chairman, to be added as a signer to the, DDA account. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Approved unanimously. All right, next, consideration of panhandling ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, this is just a
Pro tem.
proactive result, just trying to be ahead of any situation is a very, this ordinance prior, the example that we discussed earlier, our city attorney prepared back in 2008, the city pushed it. He's made the changes that Megan and I can make tomorrow to have this put together if this is something I want to proceed with. It's a sad situation, it's tough, but it's something we have to do.
I just wanted to go ahead and say that our police department has said that this is a potential situation and that we will do, or I'll speak for myself, I will do anything that will help the police department do their job.
So, if we're going that route, then we're gonna be making this as the first reading. Thomas, what language do we need to?
Just a motion to waive first reading of the panhandling ordinance and put it on the agenda for the next special call meeting.
The second reading of it.
Yes.
Do I have a motion for that?
I would like to make a motion that we do our first reading of this ordinance.
Wait.
Wait. Wait. Oh, waive the first reading of this, ordinance I'm reading, proposal, and, so that we can move forward with this to help our police department.
And the second reading will be on
July 13th.
July 13th.
And we'll make the second reading on July the 13th.
All right, do I have a second? All those in favor? It passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is, consideration of Globe Life Insurance, life and supplemental.
This is an additional benefit to the city employees and to their spouse and really their children, so really it's additional to our employees and their family, which is at no cost. It offers additional accidental death policy for our employee, his wife, their wife, or their, let me just say their spouse, and their children, and additional life insurance, and this will just be something that would be deducted out of their payroll check, and we will handle this. We had a meeting with everyone back in June, 80% of the employees of the 30 folks that were there, something they were interested in going to the next level. Again, it's at no cost to the city, it's just additional employee benefits.
All full-time employees will be automatically covered for, $3,000 with no obligation from the city on this. And, do you know when that would go into effect?
We would have to have, after we pass this, Chris and I would plan a sign-up date to have folks come in at various times throughout the day. He would have several of his employees there to sit down, explain anything, go over any options, and they would fill out all the paperwork, just like we would do with our normal health insurance. So, yes.
We have a motion to allow our, city manager to, for the city to accept the, Globe Life Insurance, life and supplemental, offering that they are providing to, the city's employees. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda, we had removed one item and replaced it with the Georgia EPD. So there was a finding from, I'll let you go ahead and explain, Mark.
This is a letter that was dated back in June. We didn't get it till a couple weeks ago. And it is from EPD. Back in October of 2022, our sewer department, doing their self-inspections, found that we had sewer overflow. And we self-reported ourselves, because nobody knew. And, so they handled it, and I would say that I was told by Mr. Palmer, the first leak overflow like this, with this kind of seriousness, 15 years plus. So it's not something that happens very often. They took swift action for the spill and handled it per EPD and our engineers EMI. And we've been given a settlement fee of $3,488. It is something that I could have approved, but I needed council and the public to know we take this stuff very serious. It's gonna play, and it's gonna cost us close to $3,500 for the fee, plus what it costs us to clean it up.
Would have been a lot more if they were not proactive and took the initiative to self-report that incident. So, kudos to the guys for doing that. It probably ended up saving the city a lot of money. I mean, it's bad to have an incident like that happen, but it's good to know that when something's found that, you know, they're on it right then.
Yes, Mr. Allen, I do think the council needs to vote to authorize the mayor to execute the settlement agreement.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to allow the city manager to execute this agreement?
City manager or
The
mayor?
mayor.
The mayor, okay. So, the mayor.
I'll make a motion that we allow the mayor to execute that, payment.
Can I get a second? Okay, all those in favor? Jerry will be back, this week, so I think that we will let him do that, not acting mayors. Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the discussion of noise complaint.
Discuss the noise, let you take it first.
Listen,
Well, the thought is that we did have an occurrence where the noise disturbed some of our citizens. And at that point, we looked into the statutes that we have in the ordinances. And we basically just had an ordinance that says we have noise. And if it's a problem, then it's the city manager that can adapt it. So we don't have any specificity or anything for the police to work with, in my view. Other than this, so it brings to mind about, do we want to do anything about quiet time? There are many municipalities that have a quiet time, and it gives some specificity there to what we're doing. So a lot of people say the quiet time would be like 11 to 7 or 11 to 8, Monday through Friday. And on the weekend, it might be 12 to 10. Or whatever we think's a good idea. And then if it even more specific, some places have decibels. They actually have, the police have decibels. If it's too loud, they can say, this is the reading. Just like when you speed, you know, you shouldn't be this loud. So it just depends, but my view is, and the question before the council and their citizens is, do we want to have a quiet time for our community? As many municipalities have.
If you all can do it, I'd recommend you do one that has distance requirements and time. So you want Councilmember Hendricks is correct, you can do one with, decibels. But my understanding is that those meters that are effective to prosecute are very, very expensive. And the police still has to be there to take the reading. And so and that's another reason they can be ineffective is because by the time the police get there, there's nothing going on, whereas the other way is much more effective.
Assistant Chief Chastain, you have an opinion on
Well,
suggestion?
there's I know I worked for a city before that had a disturbance at night. policy or, ordinance. It's not something, we normally like to give warnings first, you know, we don't like to write tickets for that kind of stuff. But I think the email that, if it's the same one I got about the disturbances over there next to the gym, which is more of a loitering issue if the gym is closed and people are still out there. I don't know if they was playing music on their cars or what they were doing. Just hanging out.
That was the next part. Do we need some type of signage to say no loitering?
That's probably a good idea. Also, if, you know, places that, you don't want the public going or unauthorized people going, you know, if you authorize kids to play in the gym, that's one thing, but you're not authorizing them to just hang out. That kind of thing.
I would like to again say something about the noise ordinance.
Sure.
We just recently went through the boom, 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 boom forth. And, in talking with Mr. Musselwhite, he mentioned there were gonna be in the, auditorium that's planned, there are gonna be events and other things other than meetings. I hope we're not gonna have like at Fender's in Cornelia has, the alley where they have loud music that runs sometimes into the morning. Our area around where the auditorium's gonna be
It's a lot of
is
residential.
residential. It is not like Cornelia. So people sleep. So, you know, I hope that will be taken into consideration.
Yes, I think that's one of the points for the quiet times that the municipalities have, is that people can plan that they'll have a period that they can rest in between 11 and 7, or 12 and 8, or whatever the idea is. And, Mr. Mitchell, what are some of the norms for the distance that's always placed along with the?
I think the Supreme Court's approved as short as 100 yards, maybe even a minimum would be 200 feet. And given I've got Athens Clark litigated that meant their own noise ordinance at the Supreme Court a couple years ago, and theirs is a pretty big go by law. A lot of cities use it. It uses time and distance. So if you all want, I'll provide something to Mark and Megan. They can review and pass on to you all. Get Robin and Casey's input on it to make sure that it's something they think is enforceable.
Yeah, I think that's a good course of action. So we can revisit that, if you have that ready by the August meeting.
Sure.
All right, next thing on the agenda is the manager's report and review of financials.
All right, with that, I'm gonna give this to you, the city of Civility, and let you talk about, you, John, anybody else, talk about what we've received here.
Prepared to talk about it. Well, we passed, the city of, Civility. It's been a month or 2 months ago, and we went to the Georgia Municipal Association, Mark, Megan, and myself, convention, a couple weeks ago, and, I got to walk across the stage and get this thing. But, I don't, to reiterate the, I wish I could reiterate the, principles of the city of Civility, but I don't have that committed to memory yet. But it basically is just, be nice to each other, allow, its own council, not the public, but we encourage our behaviors to, as elected officials, as government officials, that we provide the example of treating one another, with respect and allowing discourse and discussion of of different topics and allowing, disagreement to be civil. It's one of those things that, you should do anyway, so.
And with that, I will add to that. Megan has two very large picture frames with the motto of the city's ability and the city of ethics. And we have those framed. They're probably too big to go in here. We have them framed big enough for anybody to see them in the new auditorium that we'll be in shortly. And so right now they're in storage. I can set them out, but they're ready to go as soon as we get moving.
So when we move council meetings up to, the other building, I won't have to memorize what those principles are, because they'll be on the wall either behind us or in front of us or somewhere in there.
They will be seen so everybody can see them. Promise you that. Well, with that, I want to say this past Tuesday, July 4th, was one of the most memorable ones for me. I now have been through the glorious July 4th parade event, spectacular event. And I'm going to ask y'all, since we're streaming here, to stand up and give the city employees who work their tails off to make that happen. So, thank you to all the city. It was a wonderful situation. We got so lucky. Baldwin got hit late with rain. Helen got hit late. Lake Burton got hit with rain. But for some reason, this little area right here had zero. I don't know what we did, but we did something right.
We got a nice little cool breeze coming in to cool us down tonight, July 2.
So, from my ladies at City Hall and everything that Megan, Sarah, Medlin, and Rhonda did in planning all the hours, the heat on that Tuesday, they did fabulous work. To Brian and his public work guys, they probably on that Monday probably didn't leave until 8 o'clock on that Monday evening, and then some of them were out there till probably 12 o'clock, from 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock on that Tuesday night, along with some of our police officers that were on duty for how many hours?
I was 18. We had some come in early from night shift. We had some part-timers come in.
So it takes a village to throw that event. We'll talk about having a party. It's a village. And so we're pulling all the numbers together of our income and our expenses now. And I did meet with the department heads today to start going over what we did right, what we can do better, if there's anything we did wrong, or what was it. And then on Monday, we're going to meet with the 4 ladies in City Hall, since their hands were in all the activities. And so we met with Brian, Casey, and Jonathan, the fire chief, and Megan and myself. So we got a great list started of things to do different from there. We'll do some more pre-planning for next year, since it was my first time, and then Brian had to go on baseball camp with his son the week before, and we got it all figured out now. So that Monday was a hopping day.
Well, I want to say too that, you did a great job managing and putting everything together. We're not perfect, but we try to be, as much as possible, and we take, any kind of constructive criticism into account to only try to get better. And, thank you, Mark, for what you did. So I want to give you
It was a long day.
And there was a great presence of city workers. As you walked around town, you saw those 4th of July shirts on, the city workers. It was a tremendous presence. I think that allowed everybody to feel comfortable, safe. I was very impressed with all that. As they drive by on golf carts waving, and you waving back, and then the little kids, they're talking to little kids and stuff. They weren't just out there doing the job. They were promoting the types of things that we want to promote as Demorest. And I was so impressed with that.
Our employees are the best.
Our fireworks, I thought was a heck of a fireworks, not knowing what y'all were used to before, but just saying as Joe Citizen sitting out there with my family. And,
Thank you to the press that promoted that and telling everybody where they should be to get to the events that we were having. I won't give you a hand.
Golf clap? I mean.
that's a good one, Gary. And continue with that, I mean, everything just flowed from 9 o'clock when we started, or 8 o'clock when you got there that Tuesday morning. And I finally left about 10:50. I yelled at Casey as I was going out the parking lot. And that was it. And it was a long day, but it was a glorious day. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The children's parade was a big success. We definitely can build off of that. And the band, Fly Betty Band, they set up that stage. They had the crowd going. Their music was just great across the board with that. All the street vendors, the food vendors, the craft vendors, and we've talked about different ways in setting them up to help the craft vendors, spreading the food on two sides and the craft vendors in the middle, so you have to go past and see some of those things. You know, our postmaster turned his AC way down to give it the post office section where the boxes are as a cooling station. All of us today discussed additional cooling stations, some of those canopy type tents that you can put over the trees, tied to the post and so forth, ideas like that. So they've all been assigned things to research, to look at, so we can look at, because there was 1 or 2 heat situations that really, it didn't cross my mind about some kind of cooling station, but it was one of the things that we can really build off of. So congratulations to everybody, the city, very much be proud of that.
And our sponsors.
And our sponsors.
Because if it wasn't
Their
for
thank you
them,
letters went out yesterday. I personally put them in the mailbox with Sean the other day. And so, and I hand wrote something on the type letter to each of them. And so yes, thank you.
The sponsors definitely help contribute to everybody we've mentioned so far in putting this event together for the community to come in and celebrate in our little small community. So definitely thank you to the sponsors for your financial help and put this on together for our larger community.
Good. Talk about the progress at City Hall. The fire protection has been updated. The security cameras, the Wi-Fi, the new lighting, those items have been completed. We are trying to, with our audio guys, they're trying to get all confirmed their supply chains to make sure before they can give me a timeline for them to come in. It'll be 10 days or so when they get in there to start and pretty much to finish. So they're working on that, hopefully have that the next day or two, so then I can plan them. And then our flooring contractor, he has the carpet tiles in his warehouse already. He has everything he needs. And he just will be the last thing to come in. So it really right now it's the audio we're waiting on. And we'll do some painting and touching up and things of that sort. So I'm not going to throw out a time until I get that supply chain time frame from the audio, but it's just around the corner. And I have met with our banker at Traditions to discuss the end of our loan amount. The loan was coming due on July 1st. We sat down and went through what y'all approved in those minutes and went through every line item, and he went ahead and approved and gave us the final draw into the account. And I will still keep him up to date as we spend those funds, so he has confirmation for his credit file.
We look forward to the day that we can come up there just like City Hall.
This is like 15 chairs right here. I've got it just set up now where there's 40 chairs, and there's probably another room for 100 chairs to sit in that auditorium.
Comfortable chairs.
Yes, yes.
They were donated by Concord.
The church that was there, they left them all, they're very nice. The other good news is, the park bathrooms are well underway. They, finished up the rest of the foundations today. They'll be inspected in the morning, and Monday at 6 a.m. If anybody is bored, subject to the weather, please go down there and watch the concrete guys pour that slab, subject to the rain, because I think it's 60% or something. And so, we have, on Monday, I have the block and the block accessories needed that will be delivered on site. So the block goes first, and then we'll be following up with 2 loads or so times with the brick. Because really, once we get the brick and block done, that's 60%, 65% of the project. So we're all about to happen, John. It's this close. We get that slab in there, you know. So we're this close to getting it. When I feel like I've got a slab, I can really check something else off on my board in there. The Georgia Municipal Association that is held every year, like the 22nd through the 27th of June. As Sean said, that 3 of us attended. We go to continuing ed classes. We go to networking classes with other mayors, councils, city managers, city attorneys. Was there attending some of these same very items, and we've got vendors that sell. They're there in booths set up like an exhibit hall to set up their business type, whether it's a CPA, whether it's a fire association, whether it's the garbage truck sales guy, everything across the board. We went through and visited every station in there. And I know a lot of folks from my old days being mayor and council that I hadn't seen since I've been gone from there. So it was some good folks with that. So one little sad story I got to tell. We've had some vandals in the gym. Vandals in the gym. We've got security cameras, and we can see those young boys just as clear as day. But our school resource officers, our assistant principal right here, nobody has been able to admit it. You know what the worst part is? I can't post the pictures because they're juveniles. So that happened when we were at the GMA meetings on a Thursday. That's the unfortunate part, because I just want the sheriff, not the sheriff, I want the chief and Casey and them to have a real talking to these young men. The night of the fireworks, somebody broke the water fountain, somebody broke a faucet in the men's restroom. So you'll have out of order signs put up tomorrow. And so it's very disheartening because it's such a good thing, but that's my only Debbie Downer for that. Saturday, tell us about the times and hours.
Yeah, just another community yard sale, 8 to 2. Or no later than 5, because I'll be booked by 5. But yeah, come out and see us. We had, gosh, I think about 4 houses.
Because you had like 18.
Well, and a lot of them, there was a lot of doubles
Yeah.
in there, but we have quite a few people involved this time. So we had a good turnout last go around. Just the variety. I had multiple families in there, so good bound to find something that you just had to have. And I'm excited that we're gonna have more people. It was a good turnout.
Hopefully no rain this time.
Yeah, well, and yes.
But
You know, although
it did serve a purpose.
It rained last go around, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, the water did come in, we are fixing that, and I appreciate it.
And we're well underway of that wall and work. It won't be finished, as Andrew knows. And you will come through the center door to unlock the door. And you can go both indoors to do that, so folks will come in that way. They'll just be blocked from the construction site. So everything is well underway of that part of that also. So, but what time will they be be setting up on Friday?
5 to 7.
Okay, and you have a key?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Starting with our department reports with the Demorest Police Department. Officers responded to 290 calls for the month of May. Officers responded to 6 domestic calls. Officers responded to 3 disturbance calls at the emergency room. 3 traffic accidents, and completed those 3 accident reports. Our officers stopped 84 vehicles and issued 20 citations. The other officer, 11 incident reports, was assist other agencies, creating a hazard condition, assist other agencies, theft by taking, theft by deception, failure to maintain DUI, civil battery, headlight requirements, suspended license, obstruction of an officer, and tailgate requirements, driving without a license. Our officers attended 60 hours of additional training. Since starting our education incentive program, 3 of our officers have completed their associate's degree. And 1 officer has 1 class left in the fall before completing his degree. Now that is fantastic.
So, he's already on.
Yeah, he had another issue.
Yes.
Out of those calls, our biggest calls was escort. And I had to ask Casey, what does escort mean? I didn't know where they were going with that, but it's 29 calls which they had to assist with one of the other agencies. They had like 40 premises checked, like somebody, they thought they heard a burglar outside or a noise, they had to go by the house, the office building, whatever. Those were the 2 biggest things out of those 290 responses. So that was a lot there. I will turn several pages, and you'll get down to where they're doing their GCIC information, where they made $20,663 in dealing with the background checks, $5,650 in fines and receipts due to our municipal court. And then it's going to be several pages past that, guys. It's about 10 pages till I get to the fire department report. On the fire report, there were 93 calls our 1 fire station responded to. The department completed a total of 179 hours of training, conducted 4 fire safety education events, and they began their pre-fire planning. Frankie, what would be a pre-fire planning event that they would have done?
You know what they do, you go around to each commercial or business uptown. They'll go around and check the fire extinguishers, make sure that all of the electrical stuff is up.
Not too many extension cords in office buildings and things like that.
Yeah, and what they're doing that for is to, well, it's to get the firefighters familiar with the buildings, because once they go in, they'll know where everything is at. And if they have a structure, have a fire there, then they'll be able to find it. And it also helps on ISO. ISO requires that. That's one of the biggest things.
Okay.
That's what you're asking, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Their 2 biggest calls for the fire department was fire alarms, which were 15 of the calls, and the medical with our residents falling down and not being able to get back. That's their 2 biggest calls out of that. So, all right, on to our water department. They had 12 emergency locates. They had regular scheduled locates of 244, which means they had to go out to mark the lines for somebody to do construction, dig, whatever, in 1 month. So roughly 254 locates between Monday through Friday in 4 weeks. Work orders, they filled 224. They fixed 16 leaks, set 18 new meters, and a water meter for residential cost $3,015. give y'all our water totals per month, starting with Baldwin Water. Don't let your eyes pop out of your head. 40,412 gallons of water from the city of Baldwin. 40 million gallons. It says it wrong on yours.
Yeah, it says.
Yes, yeah, but we know that's not right. Tacoma is the first one at 6,153,000. Yes. Our Garrison well produced 7.5 million gallons. And our Mize well produced 4.5 million gallons. So 40 million plus 6, you're at 58 round number million gallons of water in 1 month.
It's summer in the deep south.
And it's just kicking in.
Tis the season.
58 million gallons of water. It's 7,000 water customers. That's just big numbers. Big numbers. All right, to go to our financial section, get a little highlights. I talked about the two fines and forfeitures and probation, which combined for $11,000. In SPLOST funding, we're up this month at 31,850, because no one, we're getting around mid to about 26,000 a month. So we're up $5,000-6,000 this month with that. We're still having some more expenses coming out of SPLOST, working with Thomas in the legal side of this. Our water sales income for the month was $360,000. Our sewer revenue for the month was $49,000. Water install revenue. This is where we approved for us to charge folks to have us come run the water line for them. It's not something that's on our capital improvements list, and that has produced almost $42,000. And this is cheaper than the general contractor pricing that y'all approved probably 2 or 3 months back. Other big number we had to do is our annual software payment to Tyler Technology. I'm almost $30,000. And our check for that 40 million gallons and the 6.5 million gallons to Baldwin and Tacoma was $101,000. So those are some big numbers. And we're just little city of Demorest of 2,000. So with 7,000 water customers. Turning to the first page, general funds holding about $203,000 in cash. Our overall cash is in a great position where we are. And the exciting part is when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, guys, this gives us our number of months of liquidity based on unrestricted reserves. I'm not going to say I had anything to do with that, but starting in December, we were at 2.46. 2.47 months, 2.48, 2.48, 2.49. In the month of May, we're hitting our third best month at 2.50. What that means is we have enough unrestricted cash to pay everything that we've got right now for 2.5 months. Our goal was to hit 3 months. We got as high as 268 back in July of 22. So we're inching our way back up to having a great position, and that is very important on our financials. Next page goes over our debt service balances and our monthly principal interest payments on those items. The revenue, where we're coming in out of the different categories, everything is holding its own. Go over to our statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in net position, proprietary funds. You can see our current month of total operating revenue of $494, with our year-to-date with water and sewer 2.5. Our expenses with net operating income of $157, and for the year, $920,000. So our bread and butter is working. In terms of the next page, about the total, we're on budget for our total revenue on year to date through the 5 months of May. And our expenditures right now are ahead of budget, so they're holding themselves below what we had expected for expenses on the year to date. The next page, which is page 7, is our SPOS balances from SPOS 6, where we still have the $201,000 for water and sewer and $100,000 for road, streets, and bridges. From SPOS 6, SPOS 7, water and sewer is $682,000. Public safety being for police, that $178, that's where we make that $46,000 once a year car payments on the police cars. Fire is $374,000, and that's where we make that $93,000 for the fire truck. And then we've got $82,880, John, for where we are with our public facilities on the park restroom. Roads, streets, and bridges, $180,000, and we'll start seeing some of our roads, streets, and bridges as we get to working on things like the bridge over here and the roundabout. Brian is expecting, he went to the meeting a couple weeks ago for the roundabout on 154 and 115, is that the right number? 105, thank you. And he's expected to be there probably around August 15th. And they gave him 100 days for him to move our water lines. He said, "Oh, I'd have done it in 10 days." But thanks for the extra 90. So he is ready to go, and we have bought most of the material for both of those jobs where he's got it sitting, where he's bought it 2-3 years ago when they thought it may have started. So we're in good shape there. And really that is my report. We're doing very well. We're holding our own with our income and our expenses. And we'll have some items to talk about at the next meeting when we talk about the land use cost, and I'll have some, where the revenue sources are coming from for those items. So, any questions from the mayor, council, pro tem?
Another question. So we voted on the road paving.
Yes.
What's the status on that?
They are to do it in the month of August.
Okay.
It's good and cool.
Yes.
And we had talked about the one on Springs Road to cut down those trees because of the roots. We met with McAllister to give us a price on cutting down those 6 or 8 trees right there, and the homeowner is okay with that.
That's great.
But it's $6,500.
Well,
But what's it gonna save us in
Yeah,
paving
and for the future, yeah, I mean, 6,500 right now while we have the money,
I
the
live on
means to
that
do
road
it.
myself,
And
and there are people that swerve over into the other lane that, I mean, constantly, they constantly swerve over in the other lane. And even people that like could drive over that out of habit, swerve over. I believe, and when we fixed it the last time, people would still swerve over until they got used to it being smooth.
were you on council when that was last paved?
I think so.
How
Yeah.
long ago do you
It's been
estimate?
a while.
So it has been a while. Huh?
Yeah. However, it doesn't take much for those big pines to
No,
push that.
no, because it's
concrete
been
down
bad
and paving
now for several years.
And you can see the patches, where they are and how they've lifted and that type of thing. So, I think that's fantastic.
Donnie, the reason they move over is they see you coming.
That may be true, that they know those business boys are running that road.
I did say that, the minute Jerry goes on vacation, that we would start cutting down trees.
Now, if y'all would like to approve that, I sent all that to y'all in email, and it's $6,500. So if that's something y'all would like to now's the time,
Do we need to vote on that?
if y'all wanna do it.
Can,
We amend the agenda to,
Ken, I have a question. Are those trees in the right of way or are they on the property?
she insisted,
She
she
says
says it insists it's in the right of way.
Okay. All right.
I even called Jordan Power to see if they were too close to the power lines, but the power lines are all the way on the other side of the street.
All right.
So,
I mean, there are other pine trees there in that location, but the ones that are really, bad and contributing to the problem of tearing up our road every time we pave it. The homeowner is stating that those trees in question are in the right of way.
Is McAllister gonna have to be in her yard to be able to do the work, or will they be able to stamp the tree?
I think they could be in the right of way totally with their truck. The only part that's on her property is one of these big pine trees has fallen into these 6 or 8.
So
So it's leaning like this, and here's all these trees.
It wouldn't hurt to get a right of entry from her, and so I can, if I don't send it to you tomorrow, email me a reminder.
Okay.
I looked to see if I had one on my system, but I don't have one here.
So, do we need to vote to authorize him from the estimate, you said 6,500?
That's within your spending.
Yeah,
It's
no,
within
but-
his spending authority, so that's why I'm asking you, do we just say,
If y'all want me to do it, I can.
or do we have to officially vote?
No, I think that y'all
You
give
got-
them the okay.
You got my support.
All right. I'll call Brian when we leave to get on their work schedule. So, good, thank you.
All right, I have a couple of omissions and, announcement I need to make. Mr. Mitchell did go to, GMA conference, so when I was saying, Mark, May, and myself, I didn't mean to exclude you. And
But I didn't go on the city time. I know.
you didn't go on ours, but you were down there, so, yeah. And, definitely thank you as being one of your firm for being one of the sponsors for the 4th of July.
Our pleasure.
We do have a new business in the, city limits since the last, meeting that we had, and that is Northeast Georgia Health System. They do have grand opening for our new hospital on July the 15th. That is a Saturday. They've invited the public to come out, free food, free live music, touch a truck, and more on Saturday, July the 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. Because it is a hospital, and you know they want to try to reserve as many spaces at the hospital for actual patients and emergencies. They are asking for the public to park at Piedmont University's Mize Athletic Field, and they will have shuttles that will run between that parking lot and to the hospital every 15 minutes. So, invitation for the public to come out. That's all I have. Is there any need for us to go into executive session?
I don't have any.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you.
Well done.
Let me get a picture of you all.
You have a good.
That-